Díre cho contribuo, Fáilte go dtí, Global Impact.
Hello from Vermont in the United States. Welcome to Global Impact.
Hola, mi nombre es Sheila Escobedo. Me encuentro en la ciudad de Guatemala. Bienvenidos a la conferencia de Impacto Global.
مرحبا من اسطنبول واهلا وسهلا بجلوبال امباكت.
مرحبا، معكم سوسن من شيكاغو فلسطين. أهلا وسهلا بجلوبال امباكت.
Saludos desde Santiago, Chile, y bienvenido o bienvenida a Global Impact.
Hello from White Plains, New York in the United States. Welcome to Global Impact.
Pozdrowienia z Glasgow w Szkocji. Witaj w Global Impact.
Hello from Charlotte, North Carolina in the United States. Welcome to Global Impact.
Hello et bonjour from Alberta, Canada. Welcome to Global Impact.
Hello from Montreal and welcome to Global Impact.
Hello from Houston, Texas in the United States. Welcome to Global Impact.
Hello from Lynchburg, Virginia in the United States. Welcome to Global Impact.
Tina koutou katoa, no mai harimai ki te Global Impact. He mihi nui ki a koutou mai I turanga nui a kiwa, Aotearoa.
Hola, bienvenidos al Global Impact Conference en modalidad virtual. Mi nombre es Pedro Sánchez, soy estudiante del Colegio de Creolía Americano en grado 10. Yo y mi compañero aquí, Juan Pablo, somos líderes del curso de sostenibilidad en High School.
¿Qué tal? Mucho gusto, mi nombre es Juan Pablo, yo soy de grado 12 y junto aquí con mi compañero hemos estado liderando el curso para poder mejorar la relación que tiene nuestra comunidad escolar con el medio ambiente.
Welcome back to the Global Impact Virtual Conference. I'm Cami Cannikins from Alberta, Canada. I'm on traditional Treaty 4 territory, home of the Cree, the Sioux, and the Saulteaux bands of the Ojibwa people. I'm a member of the Global Impact organizing team and am the host for this session. This year, our theme is elevating the human story, putting human stories back at the heart of education. Through amplifying global educator voices, we will explore storytelling as pedagogy, as leadership, and as ethical technology use, connecting classrooms worldwide and centering dignity, equity, and lived experience in learning. We want to begin with a message of peace in these turbulent times. At Global Impact, we believe that education is one of the most powerful forces for peace in the world. Across borders, across languages and cultures, we come together not to agree on everything, but to listen, to learn, and build something better together. In a time where division is easy, we choose connection. In a world that often speaks loudly, we choose to understand deeply. Each voice in this conference represents not just a country, but a commitment to compassion, curiosity, and shared humanity. Peace is not just something that we wait for. It is something we practice through dialogue, through collaboration, and through the work we do with our students every day. This is our Global Impact. I am honored to be part of this huge Global Impact community. Today alone, we have 34 presenters, 17 organizers working behind the scenes, all representing a total of 22 countries, and that's across 6 continents. And that doesn't include all of you, the incredible participants taking part in today's sessions. When people from this many backgrounds and experiences come together, powerful things happen. Today isn't just about sharing ideas, it's about sparking connections, challenging perspectives, and driving meaningful change forward. Now, let's get into our next session. This session is going to be in English. If you need to turn on the captions, please do so by following the directions on the screen or using the link in the chat. Today, we have had an absolutely incredible lineup of speakers so far. Hopefully, you've caught some of them. And this session's presenter is yet another one. It is my immense pleasure to introduce our next presenter from Canada as well, Cara Frey. And fun fact, at one point in our past, I was one of Cara's college teachers. I've enjoyed watching her career grow as a passionate advocate for the love of reading, and I'm sure you're going to catch that today. Today, Cara is an adult basic education instructor in Maple Creek, Saskatchewan, where she teaches English, Indigenous studies, and history with a strong focus on literacy. Passionate about cultivating lifelong readers, she leads the Joy of Reading initiative, creating inclusive, choice-based reading environments that honor the lived experiences and the identities of her learners. Kara is a Book Love Foundation grant recipient and a strong advocate for accessible, joyful literacy practices. She is especially proud of her work building cultural, responsive classroom libraries and growing reading identities among adult learners who are rediscovering their confidence and stories through books. My dear friend Kara, take it away.
Alrighty, hello everyone. Thank you for joining me today. It is currently 2:00 in the afternoon where I am in rural Saskatchewan, Canada. Some of you it might be evening, so good evening to you. I am so excited to share a session that is very close to my heart. I have so much to share with you, so I will be moving really quickly. I will have a link for a handout for the session at the end, and I will share with you how to access that. This session grows out of work in an adult basic education program in rural Saskatchewan, where learners arrive carrying extraordinary stories shaped by culture, migration, language, and lived experience. Their reading identities and their history with books and literacy and language and belonging often remain invisible. So today we're going to talk about how we can change that. Before we begin, I would like to offer a land acknowledgement. In Canada, it is commonplace to offer land acknowledgement as our commitment towards truth-telling and reconciliation of Indigenous stories and Indigenous sovereignty. And it is part of our ethical responsibility and commitment in education. So I join you today from Maple Creek, Saskatchewan, which is on Treaty 4 territory, the traditional lands of the Cree, Blackfoot, Nakota, and Métis people. Indigenous nations all across the globe have carried stories, languages, and knowledge across this land since time memorial. Canadian Indigenous author Richard Wagamese talks about how stories shape our identities in his book, One Story, One Song. And globally, we recognize storytellers of the lands that we are all on right now listening to this conference and call home. Nativeland.ca is a way to globally connect us and an interactive map to identify the territory that we are currently on, traveling to, presenting, learning, and educating from. It's an encouraging move beyond just acknowledgement towards learning and meaningful action no matter where we go in the world. I invite you to start a TBR list in your notebook or on your digital device. I have one going at all times. I'm a little bit more traditional in my notebook with a pencil of books I hear of or see online that I wish to pursue and intrigue me. So I invite you to start one, as I'll be talking about lots of different types of books that students have found success with throughout their journeys in my classroom. To begin with, I invite you to think of a book, past or present, that has made you feel seen, understood, or connected. A book that reflected something true about who you are or where you came from. When you think of that, please share it in the chat if you are comfortable, and if not, then just hold in your mind and reflect. If you are able to, please include in a word or two why this book, why you felt so connected to this book during that time. While you're contributing, I'll tell you a book that has had an impact on me. It's a little cliche, but growing up, I was the perfect age when Harry Potter started coming out, and I do not agree with statements that the author has made, but I relate to the story of Harry and his loneliness and his fight for belonging and finding family that maybe necessarily wasn't the one he was born into. And the fantasy world of escapism really helped me cope with some things I was going through growing up. So that feeling of recognition, of belonging that you feel with the book you're thinking of, and the books I've experienced and my students have experienced, it's at the core of what we are exploring today. So I'm just looking for some comments that might be popping up. I know there's a bit of a lag. When I see them pop up, I'll acknowledge them. Oh, there we go. The coffee bean, because it gives a timeless message of how change can be good and how to deal with pressures, which everyone needs. The Great Gatsby. Perfect. Now they're starting to pop up. Hello, Colleen. Alrighty, so I formerly taught senior high and English in Alberta. I currently am a college instructor in adult basic education program, and I have on the map here to show you exactly where I am and a picture of what it looked like yesterday at our house. There is still snow, but it is warm out and it is melting today. So books are the heartbeat of my classroom and my instruction. I have unapologetically and authentically made it my entire personality. But this is what hooks students. Okay? Students this year have been coming to class 10 to 15 minutes early just to get in more reading time. And because they know the value of it and they don't want to interrupt that for other people when class has started. I have never met a student who has not found joy in reading in my classroom. Now we partner with our local First Nation tribe, Niconeat First Nation, and 75% of the students that come to our Great Plains College campus are Indigenous and have thoroughly aided in my knowledge of being an ally through their shared stories of identity and where they have come from. Many of our students, no matter their background, have come from some difficult educational journeys, whether it's adults returning after a really extended period of time away from education, or have had unidentified learning needs 10, 20, 30 years ago, or students who have needed more support than what a traditional education system can offer them. And every single one of them has found joy in the reading classroom. So we, as educators, we all know how important reading is at every single stage and age. I started out in a play school classroom. I've experienced elementary school, middle school, high school, now adult learners, and I have a 2- and 4-year-old of my own. So it's all come full circle. And the impact that reading for pleasure, for pure joy, has on literacy levels all the way throughout life, as well as a significant struggle in our society right now in regards to mental health. Reading astronomically assists people who are struggling with mental health, and as children and teens and adults with all the pressures in society and again these turbulent times, we all need more stories for connection. So I'd like to first talk about reading identity. And when I talk about reading identity, I'm referring to the beliefs, emotions, experiences that people carry into reading spaces with them. And it's the story behind the reader, what they think of themselves as a reader, and if they feel if reading is for them. Around the world, learners come into classrooms with reading identities shaped by many different aspects. Interrupted schooling, migration, trauma, linguistic barriers, or school experiences that left them feeling inadequate or unseen. And too often in academic settings, literacy instruction is treated as a skill to be mastered or a performance tool. And somewhere along the way, we lose the joy in it. And so that's what we really try to I really try to capture in my classroom. So myself as a reader, I have always been a reader, and I'm a mother now with 2 children, and that has become even more important and in my instructor life. Reading is a part of every aspect of who I am. I live, eat, breathe, sleep it. And it wasn't just something I did growing up, and still to now, it's who I am. I remember in grade 1, I had a teacher, and I grabbed it here. I just forgot to bring it to my table. So as early as grade 1, I had a teacher who, after every 10 books you read, you got a book for free, and she would write in them. So this one says, to Kara for reading 60 books, and it has her signature from my grade 1 teacher. And I still have these books to share today with my children. And I write messages in books that I gift to people as well. And for my first son, for his baby shower, my friends hosted a book baby shower, and they all wrote messages. So now he's 4, he's just about 5, and he recognizes the handwriting. And when we start the story, he asks, oh, who's this one from? So that's really important. Growing up, I had my flashlights and my light bulbs confiscated because I would stay up all night reading. I still do. My husband begs me to turn the light off. And as I mentioned before, as I became older into teenage years, reading became an escape. And I recognized even then, and especially now, that reading not just shaped my life and my love, it has the power to transform other people's lives as well. As I mentioned, I have 2 boys. You can see them here. I've covered their faces, but books are our life. There are books in every single room, in the van. They've never held a tablet. I have a big box of books in my passenger seat, and I just keep chucking them back. Reading has been, monumental in potty training. They get a stack of books and they sit on the toilet, to the point where my 2-year-old now at bedtime asks to go to the toilet, but he really just wants to go and sit and read books to not go to bed. So it's a huge part of our lives. And as I said, as an instructor, it's the heartbeat of my classroom, and my students know when they come in, that is what we are going to be doing. In one word, in the chat, if you are able to, please share how you would describe your reading identity today. And so with this reading identity, it's why reading matters, right? Look at this range of comments of people with their identities and how they would describe themselves. And that idea that every learner carries a story, no matter where in the world we're from. We've all heard stories, we've all read stories, and since time immemorial. It's never going away, and I don't know what other aspect of the world has stood the test of time like stories, and continues to be so influential in our lives, and in particular, education. So the Joy of Reading initiative is built upon 4 core principles, and these emerged from listening to learners and watching what helped them reconnect with reading. The first one, of course, is, you guessed it, joy. Many learners have only experienced reading as pressure or performance in school. And if you don't read a certain way, and if you don't read it, quickly enough, or if you don't read a certain text, then you're not a good reader. And I hear so many adult learners coming into my classroom saying, I'm not a good reader. And that simply is not true. So the first step as educators, parents, anyone, is serving that reading on a beautiful, ornate plate and we serve it like it's delicious, moist, like a 5-tier rich chocolate cake, and that it's reward. Not if you get done work, you read and write a book report about it. But when you get done work, you get to read and just relax and enjoy what you're reading in the story, no strings attached. And I'll talk a little bit more about that component. And so I do this through a variety of different methods that I am going to share with you. The first one is modeling. I see it with my 2- and 4-year-olds. I see it with adults. If I'm doing it, they're doing it. So when my students come into class for the first 10, 15 minutes, I'm reading with them. I'm not at the front, not in my teacher desk, but you can see in this picture right here, I'm in it. I'm in the thick of it. And we're reading together. And that shows them that we value it as well. I'm not at my desk taking attendance or marking or talking with another teacher. This is sacred reading time. Joy reopens the door for my adult readers. Everyone liked reading at some point, especially as little kids, right? So that modeling is really important, and literary expert Jim Trelease, is one of my favorite quotes ever, is you can't catch a cold or a love of reading from someone who doesn't have either. And it's so true. If we want our students to do something, we have to do it as well. And if we want them to love it, we really need to love it. And they can spot a fake 1,000 miles away. So the next strategy I use is book talks. Every single day after we're done independent reading, I talk about a different book and why it's amazing. A rave review. And I try to do books that I've personally read so I can passionately and authentically talk about them. I also try to cater them to my learners that are in the classroom based on their interests or their demographics, and it's always different. Or I ask them what they want to hear about. And so in my Indigenous studies classes, I only book talk books by Indigenous authors. In my early childhood education, I book talk children's books, etc. And most of my students get their next read from my recommendations because I sold it like chocolate cake. I made it sound that good. One of the most popular books in my adult education classroom is a YA novel called The Marrow Thieves by Métis Canadian author Cherie Demoline. Now, this book has been transformational with my students. It is post-apocalyptic, a dystopian future, but when you actually read the year in the book, it's scary how close it is to where we are right now. Indigenous people are hunted for their marrow in their bones because it gives them the capacity and the abilities to dream, which we don't have in society anymore. So it's that metaphor for cultural survival and resilience in the face of systematic oppression. And my students who are Indigenous, they have never before read a book where there was an Indigenous protagonist portrayed in a brilliant light. And that's one thing I'm going to talk about as we move on through the presentation as well, talking about cultural brilliance. And while we need to recognize the traumas that have happened in the past, we also need to recognize people in those underrepresented categories as brilliant and innovative and inspiring and successful. Because if we only talk about trauma, that's the only story that we ever hear and others know. I had a group full of Indigenous males for the first time ever, and they had never finished a book. And they finished this book and asked to read the sequel, Hunting by Stars. So that tells you how phenomenal it is. And that pursuit of identity and the hope through education and reconciliation. And so I do a book talk and I read the back synopsis summary, or if it's a hardcover on the insert, and the first page or so with every book talk, because that's when an author tries to hook everyone. Another phenomenal book that I just discovered this year is Something More by Canadian author Jackie Kalili. Excuse my pronunciation. And for the first time, I've had a student who lives with autism in my classroom, and I didn't have a single text to reflect that identity. And so through the Book Love Foundation, which is founded by Penny Kittle, I was able to add books from underrepresented voices to my classroom library. And I just want to read the little dedication from her in this book. It says, "To my autistic readers, we learn early on to mask, to transform into what we think people want us to be, without even realizing what we're doing, often putting ourselves at risk of burnout. Writing this story healed me in so many ways. And I hope, even if it's just in bits and pieces, you will see yourself reflected in Jessie. As far back as I can remember, I felt different from everyone else, but I didn't understand why. My diagnosis was both a relief and validation. Please remember, you are worthy of friendship, love, success, acceptance, and a happy ending. And it's the most amazing book about a teenager, a teen girl, Palestinian Canadian, who is not only navigating teenage high school life, but she now has this diagnosis of autism and trying to figure out who she is and where she belongs. And it's an amazing, powerful, powerful story. The next strategy I use are called book tastings. And again, it's a way to serve reading up as chocolate cake. So when I tell students on the first day of school that they're going to be reading every day and loving it, I get a lot of reactions. And for people who consider themselves non-readers or who have not had good reading experiences, that can be very intimidating because what the heck am I going to read? So I do a book tasting and I set up different tables, and at each table is a different genre, and they move around for the entire class period. They're 10-minute segments, and they sample or taste different books to try to get a feel for what they might be interested in. So I have a little video here just to show a second of what this could look like. And the students are so engaged that this video looked staged, but I assure you it is not. So I'll just play that for just a couple seconds. Hopefully it will work. It might not. Oh, here we go. Again, I've set the scene like a little restaurant. I brought in like tea and cookies. And high school students, adults, yeah, it's nerdy, but they love it. So like I said, this looks very staged, but it is absolutely not. They are that engaged in the activity. And the majority of students find something from this session, or they find something that was kind of interesting, and then that gives us a jumping point to find something that they really can pursue. And then, if they're not interested in it after a week, they have permission to abandon the book and will find something else that they truly will find joy in. I think I need to go to this next one. The last one is no strings attached, which is a really hard thing as educators to sometimes comprehend. With independent reading, there are no book reviews, there are no journal entries, there are no quizzes, there are no essays. They don't have to tell people why they like it. Because the second that we make reading work, it takes the joy away. I know as an avid reader, if I had to write an essay or take a test after every book I read for pleasure, I would not like it either. And so this is different than the academic work for sure. And this applies to independent reading, the joy of reading. And again, I tell them on the first day, no strings attached. And they're like, okay, yeah, right. When does that happen in school? And they really come to recognize that, and it's transformational. So this is a reflection from a student this year. She sent me a message. I just want to thank you for getting me back into reading. I didn't think I would ever regain this kind of motivation spark. And this is a student who has had a very traumatic academic career and has found a lot of success this year, and part of that is through reading. The second pillar is accessibility, and not just in terms of reading levels, but cultural awareness and trauma relevance. And I touched on this a bit before about how, in Canada or in other countries, if all we talk about is the trauma, that's the only single story that we are going to know about a group of people. And is that the only story? Absolutely not. So that's where stories like The Marrow Thieves or Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulay really bring about Indigenous brilliance. And there's so many amazing people across cultures, across the globe to highlight, and their stories of empowerment. With linguistic comfort, lots of different language options in a classroom library. And is it readable for a student? For example, in my college classroom, I've had students who read at grade 3 levels. Well, is it going to be realistic for me to do a novel study of The Great Gatsby with a student who is reading at a grade 3 reading level? Students at least have to gain a story from what they're studying in academic pursuits. So we also focus on, again, we live in an area where Plains Cree, Indigenous nation, languages are spoken. So we have books that are Plains Cree and English alongside as well to recognize those languages. Classroom libraries, I truly believe, belong in every single institution and every single classroom. Yes, even math and science. Because you can get books for all of those subjects, and it has been the best classroom management tool. When you're done, you read. We don't go on our phones or we don't go and wander, we read, and you want to get more reading time, and you should find a book that you enjoy so much that you want to continue picking it up again. And as instructors, that we're reading the books in our classroom library so we can do book matching and recommendations for students. When we talk about, I love that, say it louder for the people back, all of us teach literacy. Absolutely. Math is based on literacy. The number one struggle of students that I have found in math classes at our college, word problems. Want to know why? Reading, literacy levels. So absolutely, we're all literacy teachers, no matter what we teach across the globe. I get really creative. Books are expensive. Funding is low. So what do? On my lunch breaks, I write emails to publishers across Canada asking for donations, in particular to amplify the underrepresented voices in my classroom. I apply for grants. I ask for donations. Everyone knows in town I'm the book lady. I was a winner of the 2025 Book Love Foundation grant. And this is a foundation founded by Penny Kittle, who is superwoman of literacy instruction and my idol. And they are currently now accepting applications for 2026. So I encourage you to apply. And the QR code is on that screen for you.
Hello, my name is Kara Frey, and
I'm not going to show it. We don't have time for it. But here are some of the amazing books that I was able to purchase. I could purchase whatever I wanted. So I really focused on adult literature and Indigenous voices and underrepresented voices in my classroom. So brand new books, brand new releases. Students were so excited about it. I was excited. It was like Christmas. I also won the First Book Canada Award, which again focuses on diversity and diverse voices in literature. And they are always offering awards. And no matter where you live in the world, research, look up grants. And there are institutions and there are places across the world that are giving money and books away for teachers to promote education and Indigenous education today. So just a little couple pictures of my classroom library, and you can set this up no matter kind of based on who your audience is. So I just have a bunch here, my big Indigenous literature section. And you can do subgenres, again, by author, Indigenous in Canada, Palestinian. I recently went to Hawaii, Hawaiian, anything and everything, depending on where you are, etc. And building and maintaining. Ours is the honor system, and I think that contributes to the joy of it. And to me, if a student doesn't come back with a book, at the end of the day, they ended up with the book and they might find it under their bed someday and read it. So that's how I view it. There's a lot of respect as well with our books. So the classroom culture is always positive. We're modeling our reading identity. We're talking about it, how it shapes, how it grows. It doesn't matter who you are or what you read or how you read. You are a reader. And that is super important. In our academic studies, I often pick novels of underrepresented voices. So in world literature, to pair with Night, a Holocaust survivor memoir is Code Talker, which is the memoir of a Navajo code talker during World War II. Recently, my students studied The Henna Artist by Alka Joshi, and we have studied The Hate You Give in younger grades. Our Indigenous Studies class, now this is interesting. The curriculum has not been updated since 1997. The last residential school closed in Saskatchewan in 1996. So again, finding books that are going to bring about Indigenous brilliance and their voices. This graphic novel, This Place, is based on the idea that Indigenous people already live in a dystopian society and it's an anthology from Indigenous authors of Canada's history from an Indigenous point of view in graphic novel format. It is the most amazing textbook that I have brought into my classroom. The third pillar is personalization. Choice is powerful. For independent reading, students need to choose. When people tell me what books to read, there's no autonomy. So whatever they're interested in, let them. And it's a conduit. You know, I had a grade 11 student reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid. It's okay. They're not going to read it forever. And there is a quote I've heard, just because they start out reading shark books doesn't mean they always will. Again, it's a gateway. So whatever they're interested in, we have to hook them first in that joy, and then that opens the door to other possibilities. I have a student who connected with the Midnight Library by Matt Haig. It's a thought-provoking story about a woman who has many regrets in her life and is contemplating whether her life is worth living. And this student really liked the beginning part where that was discussed because he felt that way. And this student reflected that they've never felt this way about a book before. I have another student who read Buffalo Dreamer by Violet Duncan. I had read it and recommended it to her. It's a 6th grade reading level. But you know what she had to say about it? I've never been into a book like this for a long time. It's a good book. It seems like it's based on a true story. And it feels good. And I didn't know there were books made like this. And when I inquired as to why, and she said, like me, like Indigenous stories. And isn't that, she's in her 20s and has never experienced a book like that. So that's why we do what we do. Story conscious practices, again, daily reading routines, choice, conversations, autobiographies, so they can see themselves in true stories. I'm going to get going really quickly. Author presentations, it's like someone famous is visiting us and lots of authors are willing to work with you and your budget or no budget at all. And the 4th pillar is human connection. Again, this is from the Midnight Library. I think it's really good. I don't think we have enough reading time, and I don't think we've ever, he's ever connected to that. I'm just going to skip ahead a couple. Book matching. So again, we have to be readers in order to find joy and help students find joy in reading. This student found the Scythe series by Neil Schusterman in a book tasting, read the entire series in a semester. His parents and family read it, and then he went back to university and found success because his reading stamina had been built up quite a bit. I have a couple other examples here. Community partnerships, I reach out to our library a lot and they're willing to build bundles, and Indigenous knowledge keepers in our community as well are really great resources for bringing story into an identity with stories into our classroom. So as I conclude, I kind of rushed through a little bit of the last bit, but that's okay. When learners read stories that reflect migration, resilience, humor, family, or belonging, they begin to see themselves and others differently. And in our program, I've watched learners from different countries discover shared experiences through literature. Reading becomes a bridge across borders, languages, and stories. And this is literacy as global understanding. So I was going to have you complete this, but we're running out of time. That's okay. You can hold it in your mind. To elevate human stories, what are we going to do? Okay, we're already doing such amazing things, and these are just some strategies that will deepen what you're already doing in your education settings. Thank you for your commitment to story and identity in a global way. And what you're doing matters, and it ripples outwards into classrooms, communities, and cross borders. Remember, you can't catch a love of reading from someone who doesn't have it. When we center joy, accessibility, personalization, human connection, we create spaces where learners rediscover themselves as readers and as storytellers. Please follow me, The Joy of Reading by Cara Frey on Instagram. In the bio on this Instagram page, there's also a handout. I'll just show you here if it'll work. There is Oh, it won't work. There in the top of the bio, there's a link to a handout for this session. So thank you so much again for Global Impact for having me, and continue to share stories and the joy of reading across the globe.
Well, if you did not catch the joy of reading from Kara Frey in the last 30 minutes, you must have been sleeping, because the chat's on fire. Everyone's just lighting up with the joy of reading, Kara. So thank you so much for sharing your passion. It just oozes out and flows through, of course. And so I think you've inspired lots of us to share that love with our students across the globe, wherever we are, whatever classroom that we're in.
Thank you, Cami, and thank you for hosting me. And please reach out anyone at any time. I would love to collaborate.
All right. Thanks, Kara. This year, we are also highlighting incredible stories from around the globe of how educators are making global impact in their classrooms. So these are pre-recorded videos where we have gotten a story of what it looks like to do global impact, and all sorts of different ways that educators are connecting with their students and with each other's across the way. Our next pre-recorded spotlight is Gitika from India. Her session is entitled Finding Students' Voices, and she's going to talk about JDO Global Clubs. Here we go.
Hello everyone, I am Gitika Pant. I am a JDO Global Coordinator and JDO Coach. I am from New Delhi, India. JDO Foundation is a non-profit organization based in the United States. It is committed to empowering students with 21st century skills through the power of technology. At the heart of this mission are the JDO Global Clubs. These are spaces where students from across the world come together to find their voice, build confidence, and connect beyond borders, regardless of where they begin. Today, I'm here to share something truly meaningful, not just a program, but a collection of human stories. Stories of growth and transformation that JDO has helped nurture. In next few moments, you will hear directly from the mentors, including me, who are driving this impact every single day. Thank you, and let's begin.
Across the world, learning begins in many different ways. For some students, it begins in a classroom. For others, it begins after school, in a community space, a learning center, or a shared room where curiosity finally finds space. Every student carries a story shaped by language, culture, family, access, and place. Yet too often, education systems ask students to adapt without first listening. As technology, data, and global platforms increasingly shape education, we are faced with an important choice. We can accelerate systems, or we can deepen humanity. Global Impact 2026 invites us to ask a question. What happens when we place human stories at the center of global learning? This is where the story of JDO Global Clubs begins. Not with a curriculum, not with a fixed schedule, but with a commitment to listen first and design learning around real lives.
JDO Global Clubs are flexible, human-centered learning communities that exist wherever learning is possible. They operate in schools, they run after school, they grow in community spaces, learning centers, and shared environments. Students are not required to join at the start of the year. They can join in any month because learning does not follow a straight line. Today, JDO Global Clubs connect 28 clubs across 13 countries, including Africa, Asia, Europe, and the United States. Yet, what defines JDO is not scale, but it is intention. JDO clubs are designed to help students develop 21st century skills, engage in ethical global collaboration, share their stories with dignity, learn with the world, not just about it. At the heart of JDO is a simple belief. Students are not just learners, they are contributors to global knowledge.
At JDO, students begin with what they know, their language, their culture, their environment, their lived experience. They share from where they stand, and they listen across borders. This balance, thinking globally while acting locally, allows students to build confidence without comparison.
JDO Rabu Center, Kampala, Uganda. The JDO Rabu Center in Kampala is one of the anchors of the JDO ecosystem. Here, learning extends beyond formal school hours. Students arrive with curiosity and often with limited access elsewhere. At the JDO Rabu Center, students are encouraged to speak, reflect, create, and collaborate. This is a space where confidence is built slowly and safely. The JDO Rabu Center connects local students to global conversations, allowing them to see their lives as part of the wider world. It is not just a center, it is a statement. Global learning must include those who are often left out.
The JDO International Center in Ghaziabad serves as a bridge across continents. Here students from diverse backgrounds collaborate across age, language, and geography. Learning is not limited to subjects. It includes communication, empathy, creativity, and responsibility. Students connect with peers, sharing projects, reflections, and questions. The International Center shows how global learning can be inclusive, grounded, and ethically designed. It reminds us that the international education does not require privilege, but only access, guidance, and trust.
Every JDO club is supported by people, not systems. At the core is the club leader, who runs sessions, facilitates activities, and works directly with students. Supporting them is the JDO club mentor, who guides, supports, and connects clubs globally. This shared leadership model ensures quality, care, and sustainability. Mentors do not control learning. They support reflection, ethics, and global alignment. Together, they create safe, meaningful learning spaces. Students engage in activities that connect creativity with global awareness, language exchange, art and culture, sustainability and environment, reflection and storytelling, collaborative global projects. These activities are not one-time events. They build over time, deepening skills and confidence. Students learn to express themselves and to listen.
Students in JDO clubs don't just participate, they contribute. They share stories, teach peers, and build confidence across borders. When students are trusted with voice, learning deepens.
JDO has shaped my view on different cultures and introduced a lot of other perspectives.
JDO has really helped me with my social skills. I've got better at socializing and coming up with questions for people.
JDO has broadened my perspectives around the world and introduced me to new cultures. I have to leave for high school, but I hope my younger peers will enjoy it as much as I do.
JDO has helped me learn more about teamwork with other schools and learn more about other countries.
My favorite part of JDO is that I want to ask people about their culture of like a lot of things. It's really fun when you ask them.
I want to keep contact with the people I found interesting.
I like the supportiveness of the JDO community.
Be connected to JDO in the future is still communicating with other countries and keeping that bond that we have created through this program.
I want to be able to have the chance to still connect with other people in different countries.
The best part of the program for me is whenever we all meet together in the main room.
Joy being able to be with people around the world and working on projects globally together.
Thank you!
In JDO clubs,
students are not passive recipients. They teach, they create, they lead discussions. They learn that their ideas can travel and matter. This shift builds agency, voice, and ownership.
Looking at ethical use of technology in JDO Global Clubs, technology in JDO Clubs is a bridge, not the center. It connects students responsibly. It amplifies voices without extracting them.
Global learning becomes meaningful when stories are honored. JDO clubs elevate lived experience, not just outcomes.
JDO Global Clubs are open to new schools, open to new teachers, open to community spaces, open to students who join at any time. Learning remains flexible, inclusive, and alive. Global impact begins with attention, with listening, and with care. JDO's story is still unfolding, and there is a space in it for you. To know more about JDO Foundation and JDO Global Clubs, please visit our website www.jdfoundation.org or reach out to Ms. Heather Rooney. Her email ID is hrooney@JDO
Well, I so enjoyed hearing how impactful JDO clubs were for students who got to engage. And did you hear them say the best part is getting to talk and work with students in other parts of the world? That is so much about why we do our Global Impact Conference. When we bring students from different corners of the world together to experience what life is like in other places, everyone benefits. And we would just like to thank you again for joining this session as part of our Global Impact virtual conference. From all of us, from our whole global team, we're so grateful for your participation. Please continue with us today at Global Impact by joining our next live session. You can find out more about all of our live presenters at our website, www.globalimpacteducators.org. And our next presentation is going to be from a duo, Lottie Dalling and Josh Halpern from Australia. And the session is going to begin at the top of the hour. We'd also like to invite you to join the 2026 ISTE and ASCD conference. Whether you are joining virtually or live, we will have content for you. We will have sessions and actually a global group meetup. Make sure to follow us on social media for more details, launching soon. We also have a discount code for you to use. Use the code in the chat, and it's GIVCSEB by May 1st when registering for $25 off a virtual registration. Thanks, ISTE and ASCD, for that little treat and gem. And lastly, follow us on social media. We are on most channels. You can follow us at Global Impact Educators, and you can also find us at our website, globalimpacteducators.org. So thanks again for joining. We'll see you at the top of the hour for the next session.